To explain what the purpose of this channel is, I intend to create a full-fledged mythology, and wish to chronicle its creation on this channel. The reason for this is threefold. 1. To receive feedback from interested persons, namely you. 2. To entice publishers by building a platform for my work and for myself. And 3. For its own sake. As for why I wish to create a mythology, it is simply the form of writing I see as good to create at this time. This may change. Regarding my definition of mythology, it is this: the collection of stories and characters of any one culture, which are naturally interconnected but not dependent on each other. These stories can easily stand on their own and do not need to be connected, but it does add something for them to be taken together. For example, the story of Orpheus, the great bard of the Argonauts. It can be told without mentioning his connection to Jason, but when Orpheus went down to Hades to retrieve his wife, one cannot help but mention Persephone's plea to the Lord of Hades, her husband. Persephone has her own story for why she's down there, but it matters little to her involvement in this scene. She might as well be any number of women who happen to be the wife of Hades. For another example, we all know of Icarus, who flew too close to the sun. But do you know why he was flying at all? He and his father were escaping the labyrinth, which housed the Minotaur. In fact, Icarus's father built the labyrinth, but the king of Minos threw them in there to ensure no one would know its secrets. This failed, in a way. He knew he was the architect. Of course he knew the way out. But their escape left them trapped on a seaside cliff. Icarus's father built wings for them out of wax and feathers, and they flew away. But Icarus wanted to impress his father, so he flew higher and higher until the sun melted the wax and he fell into the sea. This story can be told without knowing what becomes of the labyrinth or the Minotaur, nor how the half-man, half-bull came to be. And you don't need to understand this story to understand the other ones. You see, there isn't just one story the whole mythology revolves around, but 1,000 smaller stories. And people act like this is the only story they're in, not knowing there will be another. Lord of the Rings loves the bedrock of stories which makes up its backstory. But it isn't necessary to know that Frodo's phial is light caught from a ship sailing in the skies above Middle-earth, and this light is cast from a Silmaril, a gem cut from the crown of Morgoth, and was made to catch the light of the trees which lit the world before the rising of the sun and moon. However, knowing this does add to the story. What came before easily affects what comes after, even if they don't know it. But rarely, if ever, does anything after affect what comes before. The stories are their own, but they exist in the same world. The MCU is kind of dysfunctional as mythology because it's obsessed with teases and callbacks. If Spider-Man No Way Home was a true mythology, Doctor Strange would have left the story as soon as he shut the door on Peter Parker. Instead, they set up for the Doctor Strange movie. And this leads me to my next point. Everyone is the hero of their own story, but they aren't always in their own story. This doesn't make a lot of sense from a realistic perspective, but from a storytelling perspective, it helps you tell your story. Take Star Wars. Obi-Wan Kenobi in the prequels is a hero, but in the original trilogy, he's relegated to a mentor character. Of course, they're written in the opposite order, but I say It's better this way. They are allowed to be their own characters in each moment according to what the story needs them to be in each moment. Instead of Anakin clearly being the imposing Vader at all times and Obi-Wan being the wise old Ben. It is their hour of battle, therefore it is their hour to be heroes. Can this be done modernly? Yes. Superhero comics and Star Wars has been full of this. Will this be done on this channel? This remains to be seen. As for what I'll post, I can't say any stories are gonna be here anytime soon. I have ideas, but I want to build a framework for the world before I write anything. The first step is one I'll share with you in the next video. Language.